You're listening to the Marketing for Learning podcast, the only podcast in the world designed to help you increase your capabilities when it comes to marketing in the learning function. We're here to help you make your learners do things they don't want to do. You're welcome.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Marketing for Learning podcast, and welcome to our first ever podcast series, the Mini MAASterclass. For those of you that don't know, we run a 6-week marketing masterclass program. Within this program, we teach learning professionals everything they need to know about marketing for learning. And over the next 6 weeks, I'm going to give you a mini highlighted version, absolutely free, on the Marketing for Learning podcast. You're welcome. Each week, I will give you 3 things that you should do after the podcast. I really implore you to do these tasks. Some of them will just be thinking about stuff, or maybe going out and finding out what data you have in your organisation. They won't be big tasks, but they will set you on your way to becoming a Marketing for Learning pro. So let's get started, shall we? So given that you're listening to the Marketing for Learning podcast right now, I think you'll agree there's a bit of an issue in L&D. Most of us are looking for a way to solve our engagement issue. And to do that, what we keep doing is the same old thing time and time again. People didn't engage with our e-learning course? I know what will solve that. Another e-learning course. People don't sign up for our training? I know what will solve that. Let's put on another training course. It's about time L&D realised it's time to do something differently. Just because you build it, don't mean that your learners are going to come. And that's where a marketing mindset really steps in. In marketing, absolutely everything we do puts the end user, the audience, the consumer, the customer at the heart. Every decision we make puts them first, what they want, what they need. Of course, there is a business mandate behind it. Very, very rarely is there a situation that there's not some overwhelming drive to do something differently. Even if we look at a charity example, the charity will market to somebody and put them first, but also really what they want to do is raise money for the charity. But that's fine, because when you have a marketing mindset, you start thinking about what's in it for your audience and leading with that message first. In marketing, we always think about why do people care? Way before we consider anything else. Before you create a new advert, before you create a new video, a poster, a LinkedIn post, you think about the end audience, the target audience, and is that even the right place to be talking to them? Do they even want to consume this information here? Do they even care? If not, how can we make them care? Everything starts with that end audience first. The company e-consultancy have boiled down this concept into a 10 C's framework, the 10 C's of a modern marketing mindset. So let's talk through those 10 C's and see how many of them you actually have. Be self-reflective while I'm talking about these. It doesn't matter if you don't have them right now, but we need to have them in mind to know that we can build upon these skills and these attributes to make ourselves have a marketing mindset that will ultimately improve our learning function. Trust me, it will. So the first C, unsurprisingly, is customer centricity. I know a lot of learning professionals, when I say customer, go, oh, well, we don't have customers. Well, you do. Your learners are your customers. You shouldn't even be calling them learners for that reason. They are your consumers. They're the people consuming the learning you're putting out there. You need to put them at the heart of everything. It's really tricky when you've got senior leadership telling you, we need this e-learning course, but you need to be championing those end users, those people who are actually the target audience of your learning intervention. That is your job to champion those people. But the second C is being commercially focused, and that's the understanding of the business goal. The best marketers out there understand finance. They understand what goes into the sales process. They understand how to really get into the nitty-gritty of the business. And as learning professionals, you need to do the same. You need to understand the impact of your learning on the wider organisation. Why does the organisation need you to train people on a specific topic? How is that going to impact the wider organisation? How is that going to make your business more effective? You need to be aware of all this stuff, but it should be your second priority after the learner. Of course, if there's no business need for it, you won't be training your people on it. So perhaps you'll argue with me that they sit parallel, and maybe they do. But I genuinely implore you to champion the consumer, your learner, and then make sure that you've also got the commercial goals in mind, so the business goals in mind. The third C of a marketing mindset is capability. Are you capable of doing this task? And if you're not right now, do you have the willingness and ability to learn? You are all learning professionals. If you don't have the willingness and ability to learn, there is a huge sense of irony about the role you've got. As learning professionals, we aren't great at prioritising our own upskilling and reskilling, but this is your sign that you need to prioritise it. And you're listening to this podcast, so it's a great first step. You are more than capable of making that change within your organisation. I know you are. But also, you need to be capable of accepting when you need to learn a new skill. So, bear that in mind. The next 3 C's are committed, confident, and curious. And I mention all these together because they are all intrinsically linked. You need to be committed to making your learning offering better. You need to be committed to looking at the entire journey, not doing what I said at the beginning of the podcast of our e-learning course didn't work, so we're going to create another e-learning course. You need to be committed to getting into the details and understanding where it's going wrong for you guys or where you can improve. It might not even be going wrong, but you might want to do better. And you need to be confident and committed in getting that information. You need to also have confidence in the fact that you're doing something different and you're doing something new. And people might be like, what on earth are you doing? We don't do this. This is the way we've always done it. Let's stick to this way. And you need to have confidence to say, no, let's try something different. Let's test this. Let's see if it works. And if it does, we're celebrating. And if it doesn't, that's fine. It's a lesson learned. And you need to be curious. Often in L&D, we hear of people being like, I created this e-learning course because I was told I needed to create an e-learning course on leadership or an e-learning course on any other topic. At what point do you say, but why? Why has it got to be an e-learning course? Do the leaders really need an e-learning course on this, or do they need like a handy job aid? Do they need some practical work? Maybe there's some kind of simulation we can create for them. Maybe there is another form of learning. Maybe they just need to listen to a podcast. You need to, as a learning professional, as a modern learning professional that's really going to break the boundaries. Do you break boundaries or push them? Push boundaries. You need to really be curious. Ask why. Be that annoying kid. Marketers are always that annoying kid. Yeah, but why? But why? But why? But why? And yeah, don't get me wrong, I've got 2 nephews and a niece. It's so annoying when they do it. I think we can do it a bit more subtly than they do. But be that curious kid. Make sure that you're asking why and you're challenging people and you're pushing boundaries. The 7th C of a modern marketing mindset is creativity. There's no surprise there. The creativity that comes out of marketing is often the reason why people think marketing and advertising are synonymous. As a consumer, you see marketing as the adverts you see, the funny viral posts that go around on social media, the LinkedIn posts that go out, the billboard adverts. You see all the tangible stuff that we want you to see. But there's a lot more to marketing. And if you haven't listened to my 4Ps podcast, please do go back and listen to it. Because there is so much that goes into marketing before the promotion element that you instinctively think of as a consumer. You need to be creative in problem solving. So when somebody says to you, we've got an engagement problem, the solution is not making that learning compulsory. Because yes, you'll get more sign-ups, but do they want to be there? No. You need to be creative. You need to come up with new ideas. You need to think of compelling ways to capture hearts and minds. And no, it isn't something that always comes naturally to people, but just because it doesn't come naturally to you doesn't mean you haven't got it within you. So the 7th C there is creativity. The next 2 C's of a modern marketing mindset are challenging and collaboration. They might seem a bit in conflict with one another, so let's talk about them together. When you're challenging people, we go back to that curiosity side, but also with challenging, we want to be respectful and say, give me a chance, let me do it a different way. Rather than just questioning why, we're giving the alternative. We're saying, look guys, let us try it this way. So say you've got a senior leader that's like, I want to see a 1 hour long e-learning course. I've been bashing e-learning a lot in this podcast, haven't I? I don't mean to. But if you've got a senior leader that's being really prescriptive with what they want and you go, why? And they give you an answer and you go, okay, you're not being challenging. Instead, with your challenging, share with them that creative solution that we just spoke about. Say, well, why don't we try it like this? There's nothing wrong with trying. If it goes wrong, okay, it's a lesson learned. But with challenging, you need to be respectful and say, I don't necessarily agree with you here. Let's try it a different way. But that sometimes can feel like a bit of an oxymoron against collaborative, doesn't it? But it's not. One thing I say to all my L&D clients is that we really need to start partnering with the wider business a lot more. We need to make friends with all the other divisions because we never know when we're going to need them. And that's where that collaboration comes in. Especially when you're thinking about marketing for learning, one of the most successful tactics we've ever seen is utilising influencer marketing. It's getting those people in your organisation, not necessarily leaders, but people that are popular, influential, done really well in your organisation, those individual contributors, to champion your learning. If you aren't collaborating with them and you aren't making that network with them, well then it's not really going to work, is it? You're going to be asking a complete stranger to do you a favour, and that never really goes well. So make sure you collaborate with the wider business functions. If they come to you with a learning need, talk to them, involve them in the process. Don't just go, yeah, okay, I'll go away and create exactly what you've said. And don't just say, no, you're wrong. Talk to them, discuss it. Make a partnership between yourselves and the wider business. And the final C of a modern marketing mindset is about being connected. Marketers have a common purpose, whether that's with their team, the wider business, their consumers, the business value, the culture, all of that. You need to be connected to it all. And as a learning professional, you need to do exactly the same. You need to be connected particularly to your end user, to your consumer, the people that you're actually trying to get engaged with what you're offering. But you also need to be connected with a wider business. And this establishes a sense of trust. People start going, okay, well, that learning team, they know what they're doing. I trust that they're going to give me a good experience and it's going to be worth my time. That's a biggie. People don't want to give up their time. So being connected to the wider audience builds in that trust. You might be listening to this as a learning professional in a really small team with an audience of 5,000 and you're thinking, Hannah, I can't be connected to everybody. But you can, and we do that through building brands and building trust through the brand. The brand is almost your like big face of your L&D team. It's like any kind of marketing. When you get an email in your inbox and it's hyper relevant to you and it really does solve that problem for you, it feels as though that company has spoken directly to you, but I can bet your bottom dollar it's gone to a lot more people than just you. So that connectivity and being really connected and really grounded in the common purpose of what everybody in your stakeholder group want is super important to adopting a marketing mindset in L&D. So they're the 10 C's of a modern marketing mindset according to eConsultancy. We absolutely agree that each of these 10 C's are so important for learning professionals to adopt. But there's also one that you'll not be surprised in the slightest that we'd like to add. And that's always answering the what's in it for me question. When you create an email, even if it's a plain text email going out on Outlook to a small group of end users, make sure before you send it, you have answered the what's in it for me question for them. Sending an email saying there's a new course in the LMS is not answering that question for your end audience. They don't care that there's a new course in the LMS. Tell them why they should go and take that course and tell them why that course is going to benefit them. That's answering the what's in it for me. So as long as you're trying to embody those 10 C's of marketing mindset and always answering the what's in it for me, you'll be well on your way to adopting a marketing mindset that will really help your learning function improve. So I hope you now have a better idea about what a marketing mindset is, how you can adopt one as a learning professional, and why you should. As I said at the start of the podcast, in each of these mini masterclasses, I'm going to give you 3 things that you need to go away and do after listening to the podcast. And today's is a lot of self-reflection. So firstly, I want you to think about how you can make your L&D function more commercially focused. How can you get the most out of every single interaction you are putting out there for your stakeholders to engage with? Secondly, and this is almost like a pre-work for next week's session, I want you to start thinking about who your target consumer really is, and your learners is not an adequate answer. And then your last thinking point is, what is in it for your target audience? What do they get from your learning offering? Remember, they don't care if they're helping solve a skills gap crisis for your business. What did they get? Them as an individual, as a person, what do they get from engaging with your learning offering? So I hope you found the first mini masterclass really helpful, guys. I will be back next Friday with the second installment of the mini masterclass series, which will all be about learner personas. If you have any questions in the meantime, you know where to catch me. I'm always on LinkedIn. So drop me a message, answer away your questions. If there's anything hyper relevant, I'll touch on it in the next marketing mini masterclass. Tongue twister there. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.